And welcome back, folks, to more Raging Loop. Last time we played, a whole lot of people died. There's not many left, actually, so I don't know where the hell the story is gonna go. From what I can guess, I'm gonna give out my guess here, and I do believe everyone's gonna die. But we're going to loop back to the start and try to change that. Because we haven't really had any decisions, really. We had like 2. Once I saw people leaving the hall, my mouth moved on its own.
What?
It's done then. Their eyes were steady. Mom's spaghetti. They walked in my direction. Not to me, though, but to the dining hall.
Kaori-sanを選んだのか?
You chose Kaori. I asked anyways. I was speaking to the last representative of sanity in this place, Kiyonosuke no Sato. Move. We didn't even converse. His tone and look in his eyes were different from the usual. His usual arrogant pride was gone. And in its place stood a deadly determination.
Yasunaga-kun.
Yasunaga. I lost.
Haru-chan.
I was against it.
Oba-san.
It's the will of Shinai.
Chimi.
Haruaki, take the girl. Mako was at the rear of the group. Somewhat hesitantly, she walked up to me. I moved aside to let them pass. They all entered the dining hall and dragged out the victim. The ones holding the ropes and doing the dragging were Kiyonosuke no Sato and Shiemi Serizawa. Following behind was Tei Yamawaki, prodding her onward with a bamboo broom.
Yamero.
Stop. As his mother cried out in pain, Yasunaga Uribe followed the group, hand in hand with Haru Makishima.
Tomero.
Stop them. Haru Makishima was bawling. Yasunaga Uribe was shaking, not even trying to hide his sobs. His face was warped in anguish.
Dareka.
Someone. As the group faded away, the gag fell out, and the victim's voice grew loud. Not a scrap of reason remained, only raw terror. Or perhaps madness. Oh, please, someone, beg for her life. However, I didn't hear any pleas to the very end, and I painfully realized I wasn't participating in the feast. I wasn't part of this life selection game bound by otherworldly rules.
Miruna.
Don't look. I turned Mako away, hugged her, and covered her ears. Because of that, I couldn't cover my own. Parent-like dedication. What a weird idea. Anyway, as the group disappeared into the mist, I somehow felt as though the screams or laughs grew even clearer. I was subjected to this illusion until the very end. During the final moments, the mother called out her son's name. It was the name of the elder son, and he responded by calling for his mother. But at the very last moment, it felt like the victim shouted out a different name. There was a strange sound, followed by silence.
Mako.
Mako. Mako's body was surprisingly warm. In response, she just nodded. Let's escape from this place tomorrow. She nodded again.
諦めるんだ。
Give up on Rikako Uematsu. Mako started crying. I let her go, took her by the hand, and led her to the dorm. There, I took all the remaining food I had. Then I escorted her back to her place.
鍵をかけて、明日の朝、僕が迎えに来るまでじっとしてるんだ。
Lock up. I'll come pick you up tomorrow morning. Still crying, she nodded.
これをちゃんと食べるんだぞ。
Eat this, all of it, okay? I gave her some food and closed the door. Once I turned around, I saw them.
今日の宴は終わった。
Today's feast is over. There wasn't a hint of emotion in his voice.
そうですか。
See. As one who didn't participate in the feast, I was in no position to criticize or support them. They just turned around and returned to their places, leaving no indicator whether they actually heard me. Three of them were heading in the same direction. I didn't feel like joining them, instead casting a glare at their backs as they walked. My powerlessness was killing me. Under the assumption that I would die tomorrow, I decided I would go through the mists down to Saranaga. A strict taboo there. What kind of death would that give me? Would I be injured? Wander into some other world? Something else entirely? Or perhaps I'd be eaten by a monster. I still had that incomprehensible memory, but it was enough to make me suspect that that was the most likely scenario. Normally, people don't remember dying. The unknown was scary, but journeying into the unknown meant conquering that fear. So you could say there were some perks to remembering that death. But if it was guaranteed that I would die like that, I wasn't really keen on the idea. That had to hurt like hell, not to mention how terrifying the experience was.
じゃあ、マシな死に方を考える。
And I'll then think of a better way to
も
die.
っと痛くない死に方。
One that won't hurt so
あるい
much.
は、痛みと引き換えになるような何かを成し遂げる死に方。
Or at least would be worth the pain. Like if it led to the survival of a young child. Anyway, I'd wager my life that all that remained was finding supporters. Closed my eyes and took a few deep breaths. Whoosh. I threw a Yakuza kick into the wall. What? A Yakuza kick? And I did a low kick with the other leg.
ついに尻尾中せて玉の扉数破れ
The 7 treasures have finally been lost to the elements. The sacred orb reduced to rust.
い空虚の草むらに豚のムクロがシャウトする
In the jungle of the decadent void, the Buddha's corpse shouts out, Roarg! As I sang the Buddha's Ash Rock, I attacked the wall with my ass, which prompted a response from the other side. Shut up! I heard Shiemi's angry voice from the front door.
ちょっと声が笑ってるぞ
You sound like you enjoyed it.
あんなん誰だって反応に困るけど
No one would know how to react to that. The walls here were thin, apparently.
まあとりあえず明日逃げよっか
Anyway, let's escape tomorrow.
流れで何を言い出してるの
This is your idea of a conversation?
それだけツッコミができるなら十分正気でしょう脱出クレイジーゾーンからおさらばしようぜ
If you can still talk like that, you're perfectly sane. Escape it is. Let's say bye-bye to this nest full of crazy.
あのね春明さん
Listen, Hararaki.
僕は本気だ
I'm serious. Still outside my door, she fell silent. It was only about 8. Still a safe time. I walked up to the door and unlocked
ひ
it.
どい顔
Damn, you look awful.
そんなに
Is that bad?
嘘
Nah, just joking.
何その軽妙なふっかけ彼氏か
What's with the jokes? You my boyfriend now or something?
君の切り返しも本調子に見えるけどでもそんな仮面の下に超常的苦悩を隠してんだろ
You put on a tough face, but it's a mask hiding some supernatural suffering, isn't it? Come on, talk to me.
まあ吐かなくてもいいとりあえず座れば
Well, don't if you don't want to. Take a seat.
お邪魔します。
Pardon the intrusion. Alone in an empty room, we sat cross-legged and looked at each other.
今日の宴の内容を教えて。
Tell me what happened during the feast today.
結局、誰なんだ？
Who are the wolves?
もうわかんない。というかもう誰でもいい。
What was that? I didn't hear you. I don't know. Hell, I don't even care anymore. The situation was hopeless. She felt the same way. So far, there wasn't a single lynching with a good reason behind it. And it didn't feel like they'd gotten lucky and killed a wolf.
いっそあの青ビオタンが狼ならな。すっきり憎めるのに。
If only that scrawny rich guy was a wolf. It'd be so easy to hate him.
匠さんからお墨付きが出てる以上、その可能性はとても低い。
Takumi said he's clean, so that's not likely. I know, but still. Assuming Yasunaga was actually a wolf, I really doubted he was cold-hearted enough to keep up the act of a human while seeing off his mother to her death. Like Chiemi had pointed out, it was best to assume Kaori had only done what she did for her son. If everyone died and only one was left, he'd be the victor regardless if he was human or a wolf, probably. Whatever the case, it was important to note that it was wrong to guess whether Yasunaga was a wolf based on this alone. Kaori Oribe was in a messed up mental state that led her to plot the deaths of herself and everyone else just to save her son. It was simply the immense power of motherly love at work. I'd messed it up by sending Haru to the second floor. Kaori probably resented me for that. Not to mention, I was the one who pinned her down. Being the target of a dead person's enmity was a rare experience. In my opinion, it was uncomfortable.
やっぱ私には無理だったな。
Turns out I couldn't follow your example.
僕の
My example?
考えていろいろやってみたけど。
Yeah, I tried to think and did stuff, but well, was I a bad influence on her? Well, carefully deliberating your actions was never a bad thing, obviously. Also, it was worth noting she pointed out that Yasunaga was trying to guilt trip her. Wasn't like him. Her own intuition was important too. Besides him, there was Tei, who believed nothing but the superstitions, Haru, who always agreed with Yasunaga, and Maiko, who sealed Kaori's fate.
みんな怪しいな。
Everyone's sus.
だからもう
Yeah, that's why I don't care who it is anymore. Chiemi hung her head.
メイコちゃんは助けてやることに決めてるんだけど。
I decided to help Meiko.
どうやってここを出て無理だって言ってんじゃん。
How? By running away with her? I'm telling you, it's pointless.
待ってて確実に死ぬよか良くないか？彼女が狼だったら一人減らせてラッキーかもよ。
It's better than just sitting around waiting for death, isn't it? If she turns out to be a wolf, you'd be down to one lucky day, huh?
なのかな。もうわかんない。
Would it be? I don't know anymore. I killed someone. She said it casually, but I could tell it was hard for her to say.
君は悪くないさ。
It's not your fault. I responded equally casually. I felt like breaking the illusion would be too much to handle.
軽っ。
Wow, it's like you don't care at all.
そもそも君は反対したろ？
But you were against it, weren't you?
一応殺人を止めなかったってことはそれに賛同したってことじゃない。
Not stopping the murder makes me a partner in crime, doesn't it?
それは僕も同じだし。
I'm the same in that regard.
ああ、そっか。
All right.
それに異常な状況下で異常な決断をしてしまうことに法はある程度理解を示すんじゃないかな。
The law would understand that you made the wrong decisions because of the circumstances.
ほう。
Law, huh?
どうにしたってまともな法で裁かれるなら、意味不明な山の掟に裁かれるより億倍マシでしょ
Well, being punished under a proper rule of law is infinitely better than being punished by some weird laws of some mountain.
それともちえみちゃんはむしろ超常的な死を遂げたいのか？
Or what? Do you want to die a supernatural death?
どれも的を外してるってところか。
No dice, huh? Yeah. Hey there, Freeport. You missed out on the end of post permit. Man, this was complicated.
神様ってやつのせいか。
Is it God's fault?
半分はそう。
I don't know why Chiami's so quiet.
もう半分は説明しづらい。
But you can't explain the other half. Right.
じゃあ神様の方を話してよ。
And talk about God, at least.
どう言えばいいのかな。
How do I put this?
神様は不幸なんだ。
God is misfortune. Wait, if God is misfortune and I'm lucky, what does that make me? Dog?
いや、辞書的な意味で不幸のことをそう呼んでるわけじゃなくて、そのね。
Well, I don't mean that literally. It's just that
神様がいるからどうやっても私たちは幸せになれない。
it's because of God that we can't attain happiness.
それは目に見えるもの。
Is God visible? Uh-oh, she's got that glazy look in her eyes.
私たちはみんな見てる。でも本質は目に見えないものかも。
Yeah, we've all seen it. It's the true form. Its true form might be invisible.
目に見える部分について聞こう。
Let me ask about the visible part.
それは人間？
Is it human? Though slowly and hesitantly, she gave me a slight
それ
nod.
は休みずの誰か？
Is it someone from Yasumisu? Silence. Neither yes or no.
じゃあ上富士吉の人間？
Is it someone from Kami Fujiyoshi? She kept her silence. Her shoulders were shaking a bit.
じゃあ
Then,
違う、やっぱ違う。人間じゃない。人間をどうしたって神様はどうにもならない。
no, no, no! It's not human. You can deal with humans, but God is beyond them. Crap, I knew it'd go like this.
落ち着いて説明するんだ。じゃないと僕も君もやられる。
Calm down and explain, otherwise we'll both be killed.
いっそ殺してくれればいい。こんなひどい夢とっとと終わらせてほしいのに。ね
Fine, I just want this nightmare to be over already.
え、春明さん、私を殺して。あなたの手なら私死ねる気がする。
Hey, Haruaki, kill me. If it's at your hands, I think I can really die.
何言い出すんだ。しっかりしろ。
What are you saying? Get a hold of yourself.
私しっかりしてる。私は汚れてなんかない。私は狂ってない。狂ってなんかおかしいのは。
I am. I'm not corrupted. I'm not insane. I'm not.
おかしいのは藤吉全部よ。おかしいのは神様の方よ。
It's Fujiyoshi that's crazy. It's God that's crazy.
神様とは状態のことなのか？
Is God some state of being? I just kind of blurted out something without thinking. Chami was clearly in a state of panic. The despair was one cause, but someone panicked like this couldn't explain themselves properly. I didn't feel like this was simply some spiritual being she could see. She could perceive God as a sensation of sorts, and the fact others couldn't caused her to panic. Explaining a sense like that wasn't easy, and trying to explain it in detail was also a reminder of how much it scared her. I had to try to understand what she was sensing and find a better word for it than God. That's what I thought to myself after saying those words, but why did she suddenly go quiet? She was raising her head. Her eyes were wide, staring right at me. She completely stopped voicing her pain. Did I hit the nail on the head? As I considered that possibility, I felt a cold, damp breeze from behind me. She wasn't staring at me. She was staring at something behind me. I turned around and followed the direction of her eyes. How long had the front door been open? Had I forgotten to lock the door? How long had that thing been there? There was a person outside. Was it even human? Through the darkness, I could see it definitely had a humanoid silhouette, but it was definitely abnormal. Its body was covered in bandages. No, sutras? It was a smallish boy or girl covered in marked cloth. Again, was it even human? I asked the same question again, unable to even voice the words. I couldn't move a finger, or rather, I didn't because I had no idea what would have happened if I did. As the tension began to overwhelm me, I saw its lips move. The wolves cometh to the smell of Yomi. Cleanse, shelter, and dream. Daughter of Fushiyoshi. Uh-oh. I heard something fall. Turning back around, I realized it was Chiemi. Still confused, I rushed over and caught her. It was a momentary loss of consciousness. She hadn't fainted. She just seemed to be drifting at the border of reality. Hey, wake up! Why am I here? What was that thing? What thing? Weird, I'm so sleepy. Sorry, I'm going back. Chiemi stood up. Her eyes were utterly devoid of life. She headed to the door. It was closed. There was no one there. I set that matter aside for now. Chiemi was way more important. I had to stop her. That was why I'll take you out of here. Wrapped my arms around her. If you want to throw away your life, give it to me. Tomorrow morning, I'll take you and Meiko and leave this place. You and Meiko? Not just you? That was her first response in a while. Well, you entrusted her to me. I'll honor the trust you showed me until the end. Man of integrity, huh? You noticed? Well, there's also the fact that I'm just not too keen on letting a child die. You've dropped the tough guy act, Haruaki. Also, when did you drop the honorific? You don't like it? I don't mind, it's just, shouldn't there be a transition point for these kinds of things? Go out with me. Sure. So let's get out of here. Okay. Just so you know, I'm only saying that because I don't mind dying with you. Sorry, but Meiko is barely a blip on my radar. That's not very responsible, is it? Chiemi's a girl with many brain problems, so she prefers to rely on people older than her. Leave it to me. Also, we're taking anyone who wishes to join us. What? I'm not getting some special treatment here? You are. The others have a choice, but now that we're dating, I'm taking you whether you like it or not.
微妙
Not sure I'm happy about that one.
知ってるか？僕はモテないんだ。
Did you know I'm not actually a popular guy? Can we pick a non-deranged GF? No, that doesn't exist.
春明さんありがとう
Thanks. Her teary voice compelled me to embrace her.
私が今夜狼に殺されたら
If I'm killed by the wolves tonight,
言うな。
don't say that.
私の何でもいいから
I don't care
だ
what.
けでも
Take a part of me outside.
連れてって
心配するな。
Don't worry.
怖い
I'm scared.
僕がいる。
I'm right here.
僕が
I'm right here
い
for
る
you.
から。
It hurt to say baseless things. Even so, I kept on saying whatever I could to make her feel better. This went on for only 10 minutes or so. Even if the wolves didn't pay us a visit, we'd have to respect the rules of living here. We awkwardly exchanged some parting words. I saw her off as she returned to her room, her parting ways with a small, frail smile on her damp face. Tomorrow, everything would be decided tomorrow. Bong. Another morning. Aside from being really hungry, I woke up the same as always. I hadn't died. The only real difference this morning was that I could go outside as I pleased. It was still misty out, and I couldn't see much beyond the dorm. A settlement isolated in mist, a space cut away from the world. Could we really leave this place? We could. It had to be physically possible. The idea that we couldn't was just speculation. No matter how much this place defied reality. What was that thing? Why had Shiemi collapsed? How sane were we? Was this even really happening? Human senses and memories often lie to us, though just dismissing anything that didn't make sense as an illusion wasn't a good idea. That thing had actually visited us. Its appearance was strange, but I had little proof that it was something supernatural. Thus, it had to be human. As for the reason Shiemi collapsed, there were quite a few possibilities. Unless it was a trick she schemed with that thing beforehand. That being had to have been too much for her to handle emotionally.
あいつ、なんて言ってたっけ？
What did that thing say again? The wolves cometh to the smell of Yomi. Cleanse, shelter, and dream, daughter of Fujiyoshi, was it? It was basically a fancy way of saying, get back to your room and sleep. It was a warning from those who made the rules. Then, was that something on the mountain? Great Lord Shinai's side? No, to be honest. I'd say it was more like something from the other side. I mean, it kind of fit my image of a Yomobito. It wore sutras in place of clothing, and the cloth over its face reminded me of a funeral shroud. The word corruption seemed particularly fitting. It had a really sinister aura, to me anyways. Though that was strange, Great Lord Shinai was the enemy of the forces of Yomi. Yomibito wouldn't act as its messengers. This contradiction was quite eerie, an alluring unknown. That didn't matter now. My goal was to let Shiemi and any supporters we gathered escape. I returned to the room, made my futon, and started searching again. The futon was the only thing in the closet. There was nothing I could use as a weapon. I gave up and left the room, and went to Chiemi's. If the worst had come to pass, I had to fulfill her last request. The door was locked. I knew it. So the wolf was... I knocked, and she came out just a few seconds. After a few seconds, apparently, she was already ready to go. I want a weapon.
そう思って
I figured. She gave me a pretty large knife with a sheath, probably used for hunting.
君のは
Got anything for yourself?
前の包丁はなくしちゃったからそれきりだから守ってね
Lost my kitchen knife, so you'll have to protect me, alright?
任せて
Sure. I had zero confidence in pulling it off, but sometimes bravado was important to hold on to. We went to Haru's room. It wasn't locked. The room was no bigger than the others, but it was a huge mess. And it didn't look like there was a corpse present. She either already woken up and went outside without locking the door, or her corpse was somewhere outside, like Yoshitsugu. I gained a habit of expecting the worst.
安永君は
What about Yasunaga? The same.
メイコのところへ行こ
Let's check on Mako. Today's mist was denser than usual. Just extending my arm was enough to make my hand hazy and indistinct. I kept on walking, the knife in my right hand and Shiemi's hand in my left. The settlement was way too quiet. We headed for the village plaza. I almost tripped a few times on the field paths, but Shiemi kept me on my feet with just a few warnings. I could keep on going as long as she was with me. We arrived at the plaza. There was no one there. Basically, there was no need to use the dining hall as the go-to gathering spot anymore. We passed Rikako's Uematsu's house. It didn't look unlocked, but I couldn't hear any indications of movement from inside. Was she asleep? Or did something happen to her? Whatever the case, I had no choice but to ignore
う
her.
ここだっけ
It was here, right? Yeah. Mako's place was open? Oh no, did they kill the child? Thankfully, all I found inside was a messy futon. It was the same as Haru's room, but now that it happened with 3 people, it was safe to assume something wasn't right.
チエミ悪いけどこれ返す
Sorry, you can have this back, huh? I gave her the knife. Grabbed the stick lying against the house. What's wrong?
実際に使える武器がいるからそれよりどこを目指そう
I need a weapon I can actually use. That aside, where do we go next?
やっぱり
The hall, right? As it turned out, that was exactly where the other inhabitants were. With the exception of one, anyways.
遅かったねいや私らが早すぎたか
You're late, or maybe we're early. Haru was in her usual agitated state. Tei Yamawaki was silently chanting something to herself. Mako, Haru had her hands on her shoulders, but still looked anxious.
お
Finally,
はようチエネ
Yasunaga.
それに久石春明さん
Hey there, Chie and Haruaki. Yasunaga Oribe, his face was grim. Those were all the people here, meaning that...
野里さんか
So they finally got Nosato, huh? The simple process of elimination was enough to know he was gone. Anyways, it was time for the first battle. Mako, come here. She tried to walk to us. No! But Haru Makashima stopped her. It was time. I raised my stick and...
本性を表しましたか久石さん
So you finally reveal your true colors, Fusaishi. Yasunaga Oribe stood in my way. He had a menacing-looking grass sickle in his right hand. He readied it for a swing at me.
あなたが全ての不幸の根源だ最後だと思って今朝実力に訴えるのは予想してましたよ
You're the cause of all the misery here, and it's the end, so I knew it would come down to pure strength.
嘘何
No way, huh? What?
チエネは騙されてたんだこの人が汚れの元凶だよこの人を宴に混ぜないのは失敗なんだ
You were tricked. He's the one who caused all of this. Not letting him join the feast was a mistake.
この人をくくってれば母さんも義継もみんな死ななくてよかった
If we hanged him, Mom, Yoshitsugu, and everyone else would still be alive.
そんな
Wait, that's...
今日はこの人をくくるんだ
We'll hang him today. That'll end everything.
安永君、よくないな。誰も知らないストーリーを軸に大事な話を進めたら。
Yasunaga, you shouldn't try to advance the situation based on a story no one knows.
あなたもでしょ。
What
ど
a-
うして急に殴りかかろうとしたの？
What about you? Why did you try to attack?
おお、そりゃそうだ。ちなみに行動理由は人質奪還ね。
Oh, good point. I'll tell you. I want to take back the hostage.
だからそれは。
But that's...
まあその前にここで混乱の極みを味わっているちえみちゃんにフォローをしておく許可をくれよ。
Well, before that, let me just help Chiemi understand how... Let me just help Chiemi understand. Look how confused she is. Huh? They didn't say another word. Chiemi and Meiko were the only ones who seemed confused at all. Basically, the others had prepared for
誰が
this.
狼かはさておいて、まず大事なことは2つ。
Ignoring who's a wolf here, there's two important things you gotta keep in
ま
mind.
ず、昨日僕はメイコに対してこの集落を脱出することを持ちかけた。それは昨日皆に聞かれたと考えるべき。
First, yesterday I told Meiko that I wanted to escape the settlement with her. It's best to assume everyone heard that.
村からの脱走は禁忌。それは知ってる。問題は村からの脱走をみすみす見逃す側も汚れの対象になるかどうかって点。
Escaping the village is taboo, I know that. The question is whether letting someone escape makes you a target of the corruption.
だから早朝にメイコの身柄を抑えた。これはまあ話としてわかる。
That's why you secured Meiko the first thing in the morning, so I can totally understand that.
もう一つ。昨日、ちえみと安永くんは対立関係になった。そのままならば、今日の宴では両者の一騎打ちだ。
The other thing is that Chiemi and Yasunaga ended up on opposing sides yesterday. Owing to that, today's feast will be a one-on-one between them.
基本的には、はるちゃんの票をほぼ確定票で抑えている安永くんが有利だろう。
Since Haru would almost always take Yasunaga's side, he'd have an advantage.
しかし、タエさんとメイコという不動票がある以上、確定じゃない。
But with Tae and Meiko as swing votes, his victory wasn't guaranteed.
だから、ちえみと和解して、唯一の部外者である僕を狙うのが、一番安全確実だと踏んだんだよね。
That's why you decided that reconciling with Chiemi and going after the only outsider here was the safest way, right? You're wrong.
違わない。だから僕を黙らせるために、メイコを人質に取っている。
I'm not. That's why you took Meiko as a hostage. You want me silenced.
違う。あなたがこの子を人質に取って僕らにひどい要求をすると思ったから。
No, I just thought you'd take her as a hostage and ask us to do horrible things.
僕にそんなことをして何の得がある？ぶっちゃけ僕は宴には関わってない。君だって納得してたはずだ。
And what would I gain from that? I mean, I'm not even part of the feast. You agreed to that yourself, didn't you?
それが間違いだったんですよ。じゃあこの場の他の誰が元凶だって言うんですか？
That was a mistake. If it's not you, then who else could be the cause of everything here?
僕もはるちゃんも家族を失った。タイバーだってたくみさんを失った。僕らはみんな大事な誰かを失ってる。
Haru and I lost family. Taiba lost Takumi. We all lost someone important to us.
じゃあ失ってないのは
And who didn't lose anything?
久石春明さん。
Only you, Haruaki Fusaishi. Oh. So that was his story. Sorry, Yasunaga, but you're a bad storyteller.
君は嘘とか無茶を言うときに雄弁になる癖があるみたいだね。
You seem to have a habit of putting up a wall of well-spoken words when lying or putting on an
避け
act.
るのは大概にしてください。
Please stop messing around. Oh, but I'm not, Yasunaga.
自重してるよ、安永くん。
You're
君は人を感情で動かそうとしすぎている。
You're trying way too hard to manipulate people using their
そ
emotions.
してちえみのことも舐めている。君の言動のおかしなところを感情論で押し切れると思っている。
You also underestimate Chiemi by thinking you can just use that as a smokescreen for the holes in your story.
確かに全ての悪事を僕のせいにすれば感情的には収まりがつくだろう。
I think you're expecting a loop hero there, Quintuple. Well, from an emotional standpoint, blaming me for everything is definitely the easiest way.
しかし一方で君は自分のキャラを大事にしなさすぎだ。冷静沈着、年上の暴論にも理屈でこうするキャラをね。
But on the other hand, you're selling yourself short. You're calm, cool, and collected. The type of guy who argues against adult absurdity with facts and logic.
勝手な分析やめてください。
Please stop this pointless analysis.
まあそれは10年だか何年だか君を見てきた村の方々が決めることだ。僕は君が決めるものじゃない。
That's something for the villagers to decide, not me. They're the ones who've watched you for years.
もちろん君だって心境の変化があってもおかしくないほど辛い体験をしたっていうのはわかる。
Of course, I understand you went through something difficult enough to change you.
じゃあ聞いてみようよ。
Then let me ask you this.
君が完全に理性を失って僕というよそ者に怒りを向けているのか。
Are you blaming everything on the outsider because you've lost to your own emotions?
あるいはとても冷静に僕をくくって今日の宴を空振りさせ自分の有利にことを運ぼうとしているのか。
Or are you actually acting rationally to make sure you hang me and waste today's feast so you can tip the scales in your favor?
つまり昼の死刑を回避して得をする陣営の人間なのか。
As in, are you someone who'd benefit from wasting today's lynching? Hey there, Bane. How was the stream? What were you streaming anyways? Hey there, Calvin.
どっちだと思う、チエミ。
What do you think, Chiemi? She gasped and looked at Yasunaga Oribe. There was suspicion in her eyes, not trust.
言えばよかったんだ。僕のことを狼だと。
You could have said I was a wolf.
それでも言わなかった。あくまで元凶と言い続けた。自分が狼だと知っているから。
And yet you didn't. You just said I'm the cause of all this because you're a wolf. What?
嘘をつくのが苦手なんだろう。かといって勝負どころじゃつかなきゃならない嘘はつかなきゃダメなんだよ。
You hate lying, don't you? You know when the chips are down, you have to commit to the lie.
チエネ、こんな奴のことを信じるの？
Gee, you gonna believe him?
そうやって理屈に対して感情論しか準備してないのは君の甘いところだ。
Making an emotional
理
appeal
屈で戦うべきだった。
in the face of cold logic is a bad move here. You need to fight logic with logic until the end.
さい、あんたに何がわかる？ヘラヘラしてるだけで何もしなかった、できなかったくせに。
Shut up. What do you know? You just wasted time not doing anything because you couldn't. You had a point there. I didn't feel like crap about it. I should have joined the feast from the get-go. If I had, I wouldn't have wasted time on pointless arguments and autopsies. However,
僕はな、
you know,
自分で考える頭を持ってたくせに早々に迷信におもねって弟と母親を見殺しにした君に対して
right here, there's a guy who can think for himself, but just played along with some dumb superstition, letting both his brother and mother die.
一人の大人として率直に怒ってるんだぜ、安永君。
As an adult, I'm really mad at him, Yasunaga. Yeah, he destroyed him there. Once I said that, Yasunaga hung his head and fell silent. 10 seconds of silence were enough for everyone to realize he'd lost the argument. However, the expression on his face was abnormally calm.
確かに僕は狼ですが。
Oh, he is a wolf! True, I am a wolf. He spoke as if it wasn't a big
あな
deal.
たはいくつか勘違いをしてる。
But you are misunderstanding a few things. But that just made it seem even more abnormal.
もう僕らは勝ってるんですよ。
We've already won. He tossed away the grass sickle. His voice wasn't as nearly as passionate as it was before. It was cold and rational. He demonstrated a confidence rooted in sound logic, but I couldn't understand what he meant.
もう一人の狼、出てきてください。
Other wolf, reveal yourself. What was the point of that?
いいね、ヤス君。
Are you sure, Yasu?
え
Yes, that's enough.
え、もういいです。
It was Grandma! I couldn't make sense of this. And he decided to graciously concede by selling out his partner now that he's been cornered. No, he said he already won. Even if there's 2 wolves, there's 4 of us. They'd lose in votes. My answer came from a completely unexpected direction.
兄ちゃん、やっぱりタイバーと兄ちゃんが狼様だったんだね。
A shout of pure, unalterated joy. Haru became the least comprehensible of anyone present. She ran to Yasunaga and hugged him. He hesitated for a moment, but reciprocated. There we go. Meiko, still as clueless as ever, slowly walked towards us. Ah, because Haru was gonna tip the vote. That's why.
ごめんな。お姉ちゃんに隠れときな。
I'm sorry, hide behind Shiemi.
アキさん、これって一体。
Araki, what is this?
わからん。
I don't know. I really didn't, but I had a feeling that something wasn't quite right for a while now, and I suspected it was made clear now. I was certain of it and it made me feel uneasy.
OK。主導権は君に移った。説明を聞かせてもらえるかな。
タエバー、お願い。
How about you do it?
もうずっとヤス君には頼りっぱなしだったからね。
Fine, fine, I've been relying on you too much all this time. She wasn't even denying it.
ちーちゃん、メイコちゃん、
Not me?
これは話しちゃおらんかったけどね。
This is something I never told you.
昔、ずーっと昔に、私が娘だった頃に、上藤吉の門が
There were 3 wolves!
言うとったのよ。
A long, long time ago, when I was still a girl, Kami Fujiyoshi's people got drunk.
読み意味の宴についての本当のお話をね。
And revealed the truth behind the feast of the Yomi Purge. The truth. Tei Yamawaki told us the story that was very similar to the legend they told in this strange village. Well, it was less like it was similar, and more like I was looking at it from the opposite angle. The part about the Great Lord Shinai sending the 5 guardians to help the people was the same. 4 of them teamed up with the humans to murder the wolves. However, in the real story, the good and the bad sides were completely reversed. Apparently, the people and the 4 guardians joined Yomi on the very first feast of the Yomi Purge. And basically, all of them were Yomibito. They all ganged up on, overpowered, and expulsed the wolves, who tried to resist till the very end. So that meant this land had belonged to the Yomibito for a long, long time. The wolves were summoned here by none other than Shinai himself. Some people of Yasumisu were given the blessing of the wolves and had to free Yasumisu of its Yomibito. Basically, it was a holy war for them. We were all zombies! And that's the truth behind the Feast of the Yomi Purge. Well, it makes sense. Yomi Purge. Tei Yamawaki continued her explanation.
そんなもんは上藤吉の方々が私たちをバカにしてから考えたもんじゃと思ったのよね。
At first, we thought the people of Kami Fujiyoshi just made it up to make fun of us.
だけどそうじゃない。本当じゃと親鸞様は加護をくださるとともにそう言われなさった。
But we found out it was true when we became blessed by Shinai himself.
じゃからね、ちいちゃん。
So you see,
あたしらはみんな亡きにしてやらねばならんかったのよ。
that's why we had to slay everyone.
なかったけどもね。
It hurt a lot though.
匠も 苦しそうにしとったけれど、
Takumi suffered greatly too.
でもこうしてやらねば読み人は救われんと、信内様は言われるのよ。
But we had to do it to save the Yamabito. That's what Shinai-sama said. Tei was crying. All right. So she was now a confirmed culprit who believed the murders to be salvation. There was just 2 more points I didn't understand: the corruption and the eerie message. Most of the things made sense if you switched Shinai's enemies and allies. The idea that people wearing those outfits could be the good guys was kind of weird, but well, that was the culture here. Or maybe only the Yomibito, me too, saw them as evil? Maybe that was the story here? The problem here was that I didn't know that. Chiemi didn't know this.
僕は加護を受けた時に知った。
I only found out when I was blessed. So Yasunaga didn't know about this. I remembered some of his words.
学校の先生の受け売りですけど、思想を与えればいいんじゃないですか？
This is something I heard from a teacher at school, but you could do it by giving them something to fight for, couldn't you?
要は、自分たちのしていることが正しいと思えればいいんじゃないかって。
Basically, you need to make them think that they're doing the right thing. He really hated lies, didn't he? He basically told me the truth of things. This feast actually had a system that made zealous murderers of people. Whatever. Enough about Yasunaga Oribe.
なぜハルちゃんは知ってた？
And why did Haru know? She was glad when she realized Yasunaga was a wolf. Basically, she already knew the real story, that the wolves were the good guys. Why? Who told her?
狼様が私に教えてくれた。
Oh, Kami told me.
おじいちゃんが死んだ日に私の夢に出て、そう教えてくれたんだ。
They showed up in my dreams on the day Oji-chan died and told me about it. Nonsense. Insanity. Did she seriously decide to throw her life away over a dream? But on the day Oji died... He died the night before Haru tried to run away. She believed the dream. She started to despair over being surrounded by Yamibito and planned to escape. That made sense.
でもタイバーはきっと正しい言い伝えを知ってると思った。
But I did think that Taiba would know the real story. There was no way she couldn't.
なのに言い出さないから、もしかしたらって思ってたし。
But she didn't say it, so I thought maybe she was a wolf.
兄ちゃんは二人で話した時、もしかしたらって思って。
And I began to think the same thing about brother when we talked. It all clicked. She believed. She believed the sudden revelation, despite the lack of proof, that the man she liked was in the minority that had justice on their side. And right now, she said she would betray the humans and join the wolves. She believed Yasunaga Oribe was right with all her heart, and so the wolf Yasunaga had 3 votes for the feast.
知恵ねえとメイコが僕に投票しても、僕を殺すことはできない。
I can't be killed even if Chie and Meiko vote for me.
ルールを曲げて不採司さんを宴に呼んでも3票だ。決選投票をしても1人に選ぶことはできない。
Even if you bend the rules and count Fusaishi's vote, it would just be 3. You couldn't choose 1. Even if we did a final vote.
隠して2人とも欠けることなく狼の勝ちです。
And now, without either wolf dying, we win.
楽勝でしたね。
It was easy. I saw it clearly now. I understood.
春明さん、それって。
Is he? Yeah.
そうだね。
Yasunaga's right.
ちえみたちの、いや、僕たちの負けだ。
You know we lose. Everyone had different reactions to my words. Chiemi backed away and gasped. Tei Yamawaki closed her eyes and sighed. Meiko didn't seem to understand anything. Yasunaga Oribe didn't react at all. And Haru Makashima was smiling. Oh man. All I really had left was struggling like the filthy, annoying adult I was. Haru.
何よ。あ、兄ちゃん。この不妻子さんはどうなるの？
What? Oh, brother, what will happen to Fusaishi?
このまま何も関わらないのならば
I'll ignore him if he doesn't
無視
interfere.
する。
そう。
I see. Was that relief just now? Sorry, but I couldn't enjoy my sudden jump in popularity.
なきにせいでも
We don't have to
いい
slay
の
him?
かね。
必要なら新内様がどうにかするさ。
Shinai will do something if needed be. This passionate tone didn't do much to convince me he truly believed this ridiculous superstition.
黙ってはいないのでしょ。
But you won't ignore this, will you?
さあね。正直、そっちが善玉なら、読み人側に手を貸すのも微妙って気はしてきたし。
Who knows? Honestly, if you're the good guys, I don't know if I should help the Yamabito.
春秋さん。
思ったより薄情なんですね。
Haruaki? You're crueler than I thought.
都会人の合理性とでも思ってくれれば
We city folk value a well-reasoned argument.
見損なったとは言いませんよ。正しい判断です。とても正しい。
It was...
ちょっとそんなのないでしょ。あなたあれだけ知恵姉のことが好きとか言っておいて見捨てるの？
I want to say I misjudged you. It was the right decision. Very right, in fact. Big words. Hey, what the hell? You said you liked Chie, didn't you? And now you're gonna abandon her? Good point. Well, yeah, it was pretty damn cold-blooded.
痛いところを突かれるばかりでも不愉快だから反論しちゃおうかな。
I'm not too fond of being hit where it hurts, so I guess I'll respond.
はるちゃんよ。
Haru.
何よ。
What?
わかってると思うけど、君は死ぬぜ。
You know you're gonna die, right?
それでいいんだよな。
You're okay with that? Huh? This was pretty damn bad, honestly. This great Lord Shinai was a huge scumbag. He should have told her that much.
君に聖典を教えたところで、君が人側であることに変わりはない。
Even if you've been told the real story, you're still human.
君は狼になったわけではないだろう。匠さんや野里さんを殺したわけではないだろう。
You haven't become a wolf, have you? You didn't kill Takumi or Nosato, right?
殺してないけど。
I didn't.
なぜだか知らないが、君は聖典を知ってしまっただけのただの人だ。
I don't know why, but you're just a human who knows the real story.
だから人が負けるということは、君も死ぬということだ。
That's why the human's defeat will mean your death.
二人きりの時の話で、安永くんが狼である可能性に思い当たったと言っていたね。
You said you thought Yasunaga might have been a wolf when you talked together, right?
安永くんがミスでそんなことをするとは思えないから、きっと君の挙動不審から君がそういう役回りだと感づいて。
I don't think he would ever let anything like that slip, so he probably realized your role from the way you were acting.
それで自分の正体を確定させないままに誘導して、君が誘いに乗るかどうかを試したんじゃないかと思うわけだけど。
He was probably trying to lead you by showing hints but not revealing his identity in order to test whether you'd join him.
狼はそういう役回りの人がいることを知っていたということじゃないのかな。
The wolf probably knew there was a human who had that role.
それがどうした？
What of it? He actually said that? This was the part where he was supposed to start lying. By not denying that, you basically admitted you were an absolute scumbag who used Haru knowing he'd have to kill her. Was he that bad at lying? How did he survive so long? Wait, something was very wrong. I seriously misunderstood something here. And soon enough, my hunch was proven right.
本当。
Seriously?
それが
What of it?
何だってのかしらね。
Haru. Haru Makishima's voice was brimming with joy, a carefree smile, laced with seductive intoxication.
読み人はくくられなきゃならない。
Yamabito need to be hung.
汚れた。醜い。おぞましい私たちには。
We're corrupt, filthy, disgusting.
狼様は渦と爪だけが救いなの。
We can only be saved by the wolves' whirls and claws.
誰だってわかるわ。そんなこと。
Everyone knows that.
だから兄ちゃんは香織さんを手にかけたんだもんね。
That's why you finished off Kaori, right?
お母さんを幸せにするために。
You wanted to make your mother happy.
あ
Yeah,
その通り。
exactly.
兄ちゃん春も幸せにして。
Brother, making me happy too. Haru Makishima coquettishly leaned on him. Yasunaga Oribe brought her closer without even a flicker of emotion crossing his face. Hey, Yamawaki watched them with a broad smile. What? What the hell? What were these people?
それで知恵ねどうする？
So, Chie, what will you do?
おとなしくするなら救ってあげる。
If you listen to me, I'll save you. I underestimated it. I underestimated the madness of Yasumisu. And I realized too late that the Feast of the Yomi Purge wasn't just a system where zealous murderers killed each other. There was something here that completely shattered the people on a fundamental level. It was like a gear of madness. Those who knew the real story found salvation in death. That insane tale instantly convinced people that it was right to agree and to find peace in that. And I was surrounded by those very people. Understanding that made me remember that she was from here too. Chiemi was trying to take a step forward. I should have realized this earlier. She who was afraid of God was just like them, who accepted their salvation. Both brands of madness probably had roots in the exact same thing, so she was just as susceptible to madness as they were. However, it wasn't too late for her. Yasunaga Oribe's expression stayed the same, but right before I looked away from him, I saw a slight change. It was bitterness, irritation. Something out of place on a victor's face. That made me realize that his plan for the scene wasn't lost to madness. And I had no choice but to take advantage of the opportunity. I grabbed Chiemi's hand, pulled with so much force that she fell on her backside, but I didn't care. I dashed past her and swung my weapon at Yasunaga Oribe. I hit Haru Makishima once, Tei Yamawaki twice, and Yasunaga Oribe 5 or 6 times. Then I ran to Chiemi and Meiko, who were completely dumbfounded and fled the hall. There was no time to waste. I had to hurry up and escape. If I didn't, I'd waste the one chance he'd given me. This is a VN? Sure is. Haruaki, what are you doing? What's going on?
なあ知恵み
Hey, Chiemi. What?
あの安永君ってのは本当に頭が良くてやがるな。
Yasunaga really has a good head on his shoulders, doesn't he? What are you talking about? My hand hurts, I'll fall. I was probably irritated, not just because of hunger, it was because of the epiphany I had, and because it took me so long to reach it. Yasunaga Oribe had a different motive.
芹沢知恵みに惚れている君は彼女だけは手にかけたくなかった。
You have a crush on Chiemi, so you didn't want to hurt her, if no one else.
そして残っていた合理的思考でわずかでも彼女を救う可能性があるのは脱出しかないと判断した。
So you used what little reason you still had to conclude that the only way to save her was through escape.
しかし大っぴらに脱出を認めれば他の全員に汚れが及ぶがゆえに
But letting someone escape would be subjecting everyone to the corruption.
僕が全員を叩きのめして無理やり連れて行ったという形を取らざるを得なかったということなのだろう。くそ。
So you had to have me beat up everyone and take her by force to avoid that. if he didn't intend to let me run away, he wouldn't have had thrown away the sickle. He was basically signaling me to understand and finally attack him. In the end, he was far more clever than me. I never stopped dancing to his tune, regardless of, no, exactly because of that, I had to escape. I had to help these two escape no matter what. After all, I'm an adult. By the way, using an adult without relying on one yourself was a very adult thing to do, Yasunaga Uribe. Good luck with the rest. We crossed the field points. We went past the stone graves and over the boundary. Descending the cliff took a lot of patience. It didn't seem like they were chasing us, so we could go down carefully. Chiemi's expression was dead. She'd been hit hard by a sudden revelation. The game board had been flipped on her. She'd lost, and now she had to suddenly say goodbye to her old friends. It was hard just to laugh that off. Should I have told her about Yasunaga's intentions? I did consider it, but I couldn't bring myself to. He chose to save her by sacrificing the relationship. If she knew, she'd probably want to go back to the settlement. Or maybe I just didn't want to say it because of my pride as a man. That was fine by me too. Being able to shrug off such unfairness was one of the blessings of adulthood. So I consoled Chiemi, shouted to Mako to be more careful, and generally talked as much as I could. The mist grew ever denser.
Hey, Chiemi.
Hey, Chiemi. Huh? I think we're already outside the village. Maybe. We did it, and look, nothing happened. We did it? Yep, let's cross the river and return to town. Where's the river? I couldn't see anything. I hadn't just lost my bearings. It was worse than that. I couldn't even see Chiemi or Mako's faces. I was actually holding their hands. We were already at the bottom of the cliff, walking on the stones below. We heard water, so it was clear that we were close to the river. I didn't know if we could keep going right now. Let's rest. We can't. Chiemi. I thought she was going to freak out again, but... No, that's not it. She stopped me. Don't you hear it? Ignore the water. Confused, I strained my ears. What am I supposed to hear? Woof woof. They're coming after us. They were acting strange. Strained my ears again. Was it above us? I could hear the faint sounds of rustling leaves from the top of the cliff. We gotta run. I'm tired. Araki, take Mako. The intensity in Chiemi's voice made me take the situation seriously. What if the sound was just the wind, though? Was she jumping at shadows? But I would have been lying if I said I wasn't worried. After all, a question remained unanswered, and according to the legend, this was their HQ. Wait, they were the good guys, right? Still, this wasn't a normal place. I had to get out of here ASAP. After a while, I was forced to recognize the anomaly. We couldn't reach the river. I ran along the riverbed. It should have been small, just a few meters wide, but even after 10 minutes of running, there was no sign of the river. We couldn't get anywhere. It was just like Ring Wanderung. A phenomenon where people wandering snowy peaks lose their sense of direction and just end up walking in circles. However, Even if my sight was limited, how could anyone get lost on such a small riverbed? I could hear the stream next to me. This felt so wrong. I was as good as blind. All I could trust were my ears, but that just made me realize how useless that was to rely on. I trusted my sense of direction less with every passing second. So, the sounds of parting grass in the distance, the sounds of claws stepping on the rocks, it felt like they were getting closer. I couldn't be certain. Eventually, we slowed down. The others didn't say anything, but they were clearly exhausted. We hadn't eaten for days, not to mention the dense mist made our clothes all uncomfortably damp and cold. We walked along the riverbed without uttering a single word. The sound of water wasn't getting closer, but something else sure was. Something. Things I didn't know scared me. The chill and the fear strangled me like a garrote as I carried Mako, passed out from exhaustion, on my back. How long has it been like this? Suddenly, the hand I was dragging became heavier. Chemi had stopped. Haruaki. She called my name through the mist.
何かな?
What? I tried to sound lighthearted, but I wasn't confident I pulled it off. We're done for. Her voice suggested the image of a grim smile.
何を言ってんだ?
What are you talking about? Unlike before, I couldn't manage the defiant tone I used whenever she said something stupid. It was true that something unnatural was happening, and there was no simple explanation. Chemi was wearing down both physically and emotionally.
ちょっと休もう。それで進めばすぐ抜けられる。大丈夫だ。
Let's rest a bit. We'll get through this if we just go a bit further. Don't worry. No, it's impossible.
どうして?
Why? I think you can't get past this river as long as I'm with you. What? That was like... You heard what they said. We're Yamabito. So... So you're not worthy of crossing or something? I mean... I've been eating Yasamisu's food since I was a little girl. And I'm corrupted.
Chemi!
Chemi? Oh, look at me. Turned around and pulled her by the arm. Smooch. I looked at her face from point blank range. It was covered in brown and yellow blisters. Before I could even be surprised or disgusted, I just kissed her. The sugary taste of blood, pus, and rust filled my mouth and spread throughout my throat. I didn't care. Then, to discard all necessary emotions, I hugged her as hard as I could. My breathing and thoughts ceased. I kept up until the pain began to fade, then disappeared completely. Eventually, our lips were separated again. She prioritized words over breaths. I'm so sorry. Even so, I hugged her tight. I couldn't lose to something so ridiculous. She weakly hugged me back, but she couldn't keep it up for long.
Hiko.
Let's go. I'm telling you that...
Hiko.
Let's go. The presence in the distance was definitely closing in. We walked. I felt like I've been walking for several hours now. Our pursuers were close, but I had no intention of rushing. Yeah, Twitch gave us a free new emote. Or new free emote. Chemi was slowly but surely getting weaker by the second. Her speed slackened with each step, and the weight on my arm was becoming heavier. I could hear her cough and vomit something out. She apologized every time she did, and basically replied with, "It's all right," using different words every time. We walked. Chiami's feet began to make wet sounds with every step. We walked. Maybe we'd actually been here for only a few minutes. We walked. Chiemi kept apologizing. Maybe we haven't even moved a single meter. We walked. Maybe none of this was real. Then, maybe nothing that happened here would be weird. Eventually, Chiemi called out to me with a hoarse voice. Haruaki. The fact that she said something different had sparked a moment of baseless hope. And so, thanks. Gratitude was followed by another wet sound. I had fun. With those final words, her weight vanished. It was strange. After all, I was still holding her hand. Oh no! Or rather, only her hand. With a splash, her bodily fluids spread around while her limbs and entrails just collapsed. Chiemi was gone, leaving behind only her rotting hand. Perhaps her remains were piling up in the mist ahead. I had a strange certainty that I couldn't touch it ever again. Was this what they called a Yamabito? I couldn't accept this, no matter what. Guess we won't have a zombie GF. How unfortunate. I don't care. What? Take a part of me outside. I put the hand in my jacket pocket, took Mako, still sleeping, shifted my grip to make carrying her easier. Yeah, because the girl wasn't from around there. I continued walking for too long. Mako woke up. She was shocked that Chiemi was gone and cried for a bit, but then she said she wanted to walk by herself, so I put her down to the ground. The very next moment, she was dragged into the mist. It was clearly a malicious force that did that. To me, it looked like a furry arm. A scream resounded. It was an inhuman, animalistic scream. After hesitating for a moment, I turned to run, and I caught a glimpse of something beastly within the mist Mako had disappeared into. I ran. And ran. Suddenly, I felt myself step into something wet. I had arrived at the river. It was meaningless. I'd lost everything, and in the end, only I survived. I don't care what, just take a part of me outside. Is there any meaning in fulfilling that promise? No. The meaning was for me to find. That was why I had to survive and find a forest. Yeah, I still had that hope back then. Uh-oh. They finally broke through the mist and showed themselves. Oh, of course. This really was hell, wasn't it? This wasn't the human realm or nirvana. It was a river of hell, so of course both sides of it were gonna be hell. There was no splash when we threw Takumi's body in, was there? The moment we went into the mist and down the cliff, our bodies vanished from the world and reached a place where there was no return. And finally I had no choice but to accept it. As someone who had taken in the flesh and blood of a Yomibito, Chiemi, I couldn't escape either. That was why I screamed stupidly, only managing to run a few steps before their sinister claws tore me apart. Darn it. Where had I gone wrong? Descending into the Saranaga? Not believing Chiemi when she told me we couldn't escape? No. It went back even earlier than that. I already knew the answer. Ah, crap. I really wished I'd been part of Yasumisu and participated in the Feast of the Yomi Purge. Maybe I could have gotten a different ending than this. That was the last thought that went through my mind before all faded away. I've beat the game. Is this the end? Yeah, but we're seeing credits. Usually we end the stream on the credits. Actually, no, there was one game we actually didn't do that. That was Labyrinth of Refrain, because there was like 3 times we saw the credits and we kept going. Worlds and Claws. It's not an applause because we're not done yet. That's why. Key. Key 4. Ending number 1. Watch Hidden Corner. Yes!
よう大将、まずはお疲れさんだな。
Hey Chief, congratulations are in order.
最初のメインルート、読みはこれで終了だ。達成感とラブラブな空気に存分に浸るがいいぜ。
You've now cleared Yomi, the first main route. Embrace that sense of accomplishment and lovey-dovey atmosphere.
無理かよ。せっかくテンション上げてやったのによ。
No, you're not in the
無理
mood.
もねえか。
You're not in the mood?
鬱な結末だったもんな。
You're not in the mood for any of that? Well, that makes sense. Wasn't exactly a very happy ending.
が、気合い入れてくれ。より良い結末をお望みなら力になるぜ。
Keep your chin up, and I'll help you find your way to a better ending.
今回のバッドじゃないエンド1。題して、知恵ねえと楽しい沢遊びについてだが。
This one wasn't a bad ending, it was just ending. 1. Fun in the marshes with Chie.
ぶっちゃけ正解だからな。アドバイスはね。
Since it wasn't a bad ending, I've got no advice for you.
よりマシな結末を探すなら、久石春明が言ってた通り、積極的に宴に加わる方法を探すことが大事だ。
If you want a better ending, then you need to find a way to proactively participate in the feast. Like Haruaki Fusaishi said.
今回手に入ったキー4を握りしめ、適切な場所に向かうんだ。
And with key number 4, you now have the means to head down that path.
シナリオチャートを見ればわかるが、
So we're gonna eat the food, that's what I think.
ずいぶん前にある。
You can tell from the scenario chart, but the lock this opens is way back.
言っちまうと、1、起点の振り出しだ。
Just so you know, it's in 1 starting point. Oh no! We're doing it again?
あそこに最初に並んでた鍵付き選択肢がようやくこれで開く。新ルート潜入が探索可能になるぜ。
I'm out. That was the first lock choice you had, and now you can finally open it and head to the new route, infiltration.
より混迷を極める事件に肉薄し、今回の後悔をもう味わわないよう全力を尽くしてやってくれよ、大将。
Take on an even more chaotic scenario. Give it your all so you don't have to taste the same despair as this time.
つうわけで、今回はここまで。次も元気に死んでこい。
With that said, that's it for me this time. Die another hearty death next time.
そういう夢
Just a dream.
うまくやれ。羊が1匹、羊が2匹。
All right. Let's check out the chart. The chart. Key number 4. There you go. We remember. Suddenly, a rush of memories flitted into my mind. Remember incident. Right, how did I forget? I already experienced this looping phenomenon. Oh my god. Hold on, looping? What the hell? There was no way something like that could... Wait, loop? What if it's a raging loop? Title drop. But if that wasn't it, then what else could explain this? How else could I, someone who died once, be alive right now? I had clear memories of getting caught up in some strange incident at Yasumisu, and I couldn't remember how it ended. Was like this last time too, my memories were all fragmented, but I did remember that I went to Yasumisu, met the people there, and died. And I come back here when or because I died. It was a ridiculous idea, but the pain and fear I felt back then was just so vivid and fresh in my mind that I couldn't simply dismiss it as just a dream or illusion. There was no point in lying to myself. I was here having experienced something that made me sure I died. It was an incomplete memory from the future. I had no idea why I had it, but I definitely did. I had to come to terms with it first and foremost. The gas tank wasn't empty. My phone couldn't find a signal and was running out of battery, and my throat was a bit dry, exactly like last time. That meant that I was about to arrive at... I knew it. I really didn't want to meet that employee again, but from what I experienced, she was the only one I'd met before going to Fujiyoshi, so avoiding her probably wasn't a great idea. Oh, so, okay, so this is how we're gonna play it then. Her attitude was shit, but at least she always did what I asked, though I really didn't want to drive down that unpaved road again. Why do we want to come back? Why don't we just circle back around? She's the mountain god. Oh! That would be crazy. And also probably that. Once again, she greeted her customer in a borderline insane way. It actually made me kind of relieved. I wanted to believe that this was just some sort of trick of the mind. It was just like before. To her, I was just an annoying late night customer. Oh well, I just had to buy what I wanted.
くださいな。
I'll take these.
あ？どんだけ買う気なんだよ。
Why are you taking so much crap? Yasumisu was just desperately poor and had me worried. What was her problem? I was the customer. With this much stuff, she had to use the register. Still grumbling, she started scanning the barcodes. When she was done, I paid and asked.
近場の人里を目指したいんですけど、地図を見せてもらえませんか？
I want to get to the nearest settlement. Do you have a map I could look at?
あ？地図なんざねえよ。
No, we don't.
そこをなんとか。
Please, I need it.
待ってろ。
Just wait. He went through the staff door.
あったわ。
Found it. I knew it.
これがこの店。で、十字路を北へ行け。
This here is the store. Go north of the crossroads.
しばらくしたら立教があっから渡れ。最初の分岐のとこに大岩があっからそこを右折してあとは直線。
Find an overpass soon enough. Cross it. You'll come to a fork next to a giant boulder. Turn right and
地図に
straight.
は森しか見えませんが。
Then that's just a forest, isn't it? I knew that it was. There wasn't even a paved road there. Why would she recommend the road anyways? If I had crashed and died, it would be a homicide by
書かれ
negligence.
てねえだけで集落があんだよ。
There's a settlement. It's just not on the map. Wasn't a lie. It wasn't weird for Yasumisu not to be on the map. It was a nearly abandoned settlement in the middle of nowhere. Why did she know about this? Did she live in Kamifujiyoshi? I think Istar might be right. I think Istar might be right.
ちょっとバイクじゃきつそうですね。そっちの富士吉村には
That sounds like it would be bad for my bike. What about this place, Fujiyoshi?
くっそ面倒な峠道で2時間かかんぞ。
It's a 2-hour drive through a shitty mountain path.
一応メモっといていいですか
Oh, are we gonna go to Fujiyoshi? That would be interesting, though. Can I write that down?
好きにしろよ。
Sure.
隣の町は
Where's the other closest town?
山2つ向こう。
Past 2 mountains. And I couldn't make any sense of the local distance measurements.
ここいらを深夜に無茶すんのは勧めねえぜ。
Don't recommend going wild around these parts at night. Actual consideration. Though it was hard to be grateful, she was the one who pointed me in the direction of that shitty road in the first place.
引き返すのも勇気ってやつじゃねえの。
Turning back takes courage too. Turning back, huh?
ま
I'll think about it, thank you.
毎度。
Thanks for coming, or whatever. Oh, by the
あ
way,
そうだこの辺でローカルな飲み物とかってないです
got any
陳列
interesting
棚には
local
特には
drinks?
なさそうでしたけど
I didn't see any in the drink aisle.
いや、そこにねえもんはねえって。
Well, then we don't have any.
もしかしたらバックヤードにあるかもしれないなと思って
I just thought you might have something in the back.
あるわけねえだろ。
Like hell we would.
まあまあ一応見るだけでも
Could you at least check?
待ってろ。
Just wait.
あったわ。
Found it. Seriously? She brought me a 500cc bottle with a black liquid inside. The label looked written by hand and said Wild Plant Cola. Expected nothing and I got something huge. This place was amazing.
すみません荷物だいぶ多くなっちゃったんで荷台にくくるゴムロープみたいなのないですか
The next town is 1,000 hamburgers away. That's hilarious. That's worth 1/20th of VIP right there. Oh, sorry, but I got quite a lot of stuff here. Do you have a rubber rope I could hang on to my bike to hold it all?
ここはコンビニだぞ。
This ain't a hardware store.
見てくれるだけでいいんで
I'd be happy if you just looked.
待ってろ。
Just wait.
あったわ。
Found it. Seriously?
せっかくなんでこのメモにあるその他ちょっとしたものたちを一通り見てきてもらえないですか
He's like the worst customer. Like he drove in at like 3 a.m. He brought a list. Since we've come this far, I have a list here. Think you can see if you have anything on it?
いい加減にしろよ、てめえ殺すぞ。
What the hell? You got a death wish for
つ
something?
いに殺すって言った一応で構いませんから
Are you saying you'd kill me? Please, I just want you to have a look.
待ってろ。
Wait here.
さーす
Thanks.
全部あったわ。
We had it all.
なんなんだこのコンビニ
What the hell is this place? It felt like she was about to kill me, but I successfully came out with pretty much all I needed. Then I just made a run for it. I opened up the weird plant cola. Looking up at the noisy light trap above, I took a sip. It was cool, intense, and had a strange grassy flavor, but it wasn't too bad at all. I expected something totally gross, but it was actually a legit drink. Slightly disappointed, I looked at the ingredients. Cola and plant extract. Hold on, cola as an ingredient? Did they just buy cola and mix it in? And plant extract could be anything from fruits to poisonous plants? What the hell? Was this even safe to drink? Well, at least it tasted good. It was probably smart just to turn around and drive away, entering Fujiyoshi. Entering Fujiyoshi means death. Turn back. Perhaps that's what the loops were trying to tell me. Maybe I ought to listen. Was this really that easy? I had no real grounds for this, but if the cause of this strange phenomenon was somewhere in the village, perhaps I couldn't break out of the loop until I solved the mystery behind it. What would happen if I left then? Would I go on and live out the rest of my life? Would I go on and live out the rest of my days only to die and come back here? Would I return to youth after years of being old? That part didn't sound half bad, actually. Was it really something I could just accept so easily? It was just my speculation. But what if I actually hadn't moved an inch from that mountain pass? Was everything from then and now and until death just an ante-mortem fever dream? And dying again would just bring me back here? If that's how it was, everything I do with my life from this point onward would be meaningless. Maybe I really should move on only after taking care of whatever was binding me. Also, how could I leave something so strange, unnatural, and incomprehensible and just return to the city? Let's turn back. Until I finished my drink, the thing guiding me was my good sense, otherwise known as opportunism. Man, what a weird experience that was. It'd make a good campfire story once I made it back where I belong. Pushed aside my sense that something wasn't right, my anxiety, my fear, and straddled the seat of my bike. Well, there was another way to look at this. I could try and see whether ignoring it all and running away would actually work. After all, this might end up being the only way to solve the problem. Turned the key, opened the throttle, pushed the signal to the left, and connected the clutch. And away I went, starting with the left turn. Anyway, I'd go back to up the mountain path. I had enough of this ride. I'd return to civilization, eat some normal food, get some decent sleep, and live my boring, everyday life. Just recognizing how precious those things were was more than enough for me. That made this trip all worth it. A dense mist drifted into view. Oh no! Bad ending. Oh, let's go watch the hint corner. You've done it now, eh, Chief? This one was pretty standard, so let's get right to it. Is it because we drank the cola? Bad ending number 6. Mysterious U-turn death. Just like bad ending number 4, this was an ending you knew wouldn't turn out well, but tried it just for the heck of it. Damn, they knew. Looks like running away isn't an option. Better suck it up, I guess. It was short, but that's all for this time. Die another hearty death next time. So many game overs today. Blah, blah, blah. Let's go pass by Fujiyoshi. As I finished my drink, the idea that I was barely different from just turning around and leaving. No, sorry. As I finished my drink, the idea I had was barely different from just turning around and leaving. Maybe I could just pass it by? I was curious what would happen if I ignored Yasumisu, Fujiyoshi, and the clerk's warning and simply drove on past. Wait, why would anything happen? I just continued down the road, right? Why did I feel so uneasy then? After thinking for a moment, I'd arrived at a mindset of eliminating whatever options seemed wrong. My guess was that this wouldn't take care of the root of the problem, but I was the type who wouldn't believe that until I tried it myself. Turned the key, opened the throttle, and pushed the signal to the left, connected the clutch, and away I went, starting with the right turn. I see you're keeping a good pace on that 100% bad endings. Hell yeah. The tense mountain path continued for a while. Though I didn't feel like falling asleep, I was definitely becoming more and more exhausted, both mentally and physically. Even in this jacket, the force of the wind going by was doing a number on my body, especially as I kept onward for over an hour. I did, however, see a sign above my head that said Fujiyoshi. As I decided, I just passed it by, never coming close to Kami Fujiyoshi or Yasumisu. Now I just passed the two mountains and reached the town I was told about. Perhaps I should have been more suspicious of the fact that I stopped acting on my heart after that. Maybe I was just so tired that I couldn't make such decisions. I could only remember noticing a strangely dense mist surrounding me, but that was when my brain lost all capacity for perception or judgment. Oh no! We died? Watch hint corner. Hell yeah. You done it again, eh, Chief?
じゃあね、さっさか済ますとしようぜ。
Oh well, let's get this over with.
今回のバッドエンド7、題してスルーで謎死についてだが、
Bad end number 7. Mysterious passing by death.
まあこれも一応納得のために試せるようにしておいたって系統のやつだ。
Well, this is another ending you checked for the heck of it just to make sure it wasn't possible.
残念ながら逃げるのは無理そうだぜ。4、潜入の9、進路を決めよに戻って素直に選ぶが吉ってとこだな。
Unfortunately, running away is not an option. Go back to 4Q, choose route, and test your luck again.
よし。
That's it for this time. Die another hearty death. Blah, 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 blah.
夢だったってわけだ。
Death number 3 tonight. Why not just put me at the option? Enter Fujiyoshi by the normal route. As I finished my drink, I made my decision. I'd return there. I'd face that tragedy again. Of course, I was curious about this looping phenomenon, but I did recall what I thought during my final moments. It was something like, if only I handled this better, and for better or worse, this weird looping phenomenon had given me a chance to do just that. If I went about it all a bit better, perhaps I could get a better ending. Isako Mamiya, Yudai Hashimoto, Kanzo Makashima, Yoshitsugu Oribe, Takumi Muro, Old Man Who Cried Wolf, Chikamochi, Rikako Uematsu, Kaori Oribe, Kyonosuke Nosato Meiko, Hell, even Yasunaga Oribe, Tei Yamawaki, and Haru Makashima were just victims of some strange superstition. But I, Haruaki Fusaishi, could not delude myself. I was no hero. I had no powers, no convictions. So this is basically RE0? I don't know. I've never watched. I don't watch anime. I don't know. I don't even know what an anime is. I was just a dilettante. My only motivation here was a sense of perfectionism. I was annoyed at how many mistakes I had made in the first time around. Plus, there was a certain attraction I felt towards the unknown. It was the urge. It was an urge. It was an urge foundational to my being. Yeah. And I'd be risking my life on its behalf. It's dilettante. Whatever. You know how it is here. I wasn't about to pretend that I knew English or French. I was acting for the sake of the others here. Although, Chiemi, though she hated her childhood home, it remained a part of who she was, and I wanted to keep that from being tarnished with blood. That motive was perverse, forceful, selfish, lustful, and filthy. I couldn't let myself forget any of that. I remembered the names of those who I'd meet and what I had to do. I turned the key, opened the throttle, pushed the signal to the left, and connected the clutch. And away I went, starting with a right turn.
しばらくしたら立教があっから渡れ。最初の分岐のとこに大岩があっからそこを右折してあとは直線。
You'll find an overpass soon enough. Cross it. When you come to a fork next to a giant boulder, turn right and head straight. I quickly came across it. I could clearly remember this overpass. The large boulder wasn't new to me either. But I wouldn't take that route this time. I just kept on driving, not lowering my speed for a moment. Full speed ahead. I drove on the winding mountain path. Strangely enough, my fatigue, though present, wasn't too bad, and my head was perfectly clear. I knew which route to take without even looking at a copy of my map. Or perhaps I would have driven through here before. Perhaps this wasn't the first choice I'd made, but one of many? I couldn't be sure, since my memories were so incomplete. Nothing was certain. Still, they'd be an asset in the fight ahead. I wasn't going into this unarmed. I could no longer see the moon. Those memories held true. The rain would begin soon.
ここまでよ。
End of the line?
あれだ。大将、前に
Oh!
動画配信
We
可能
can't stream more of
お知らせ
this!
機能をオンにしただろ
What? Were she blocked?
今のはそれだ。つまり、動画配信が可能なのは、このチャプターまでだ。
This is it, meaning you can only upload videos reaching up to this chapter.
正確にはこの後、選択肢が出るまでは大丈夫だから、ぼちぼち挨拶やら何やらの準備をしといてくれ。
You could actually go up to the choice that pops up after this, so prepare your goodbyes and stuff. Alright, well, I guess we can't stream this no more. I drove in the darkness, but I could still make out a sign above me. The road wasn't wide. I decelerated and somehow managed a U-turn. There was no other cars, so no one would complain. Yeah, we enabled the option. So, was I supposed to stop there? Or did they say, oh, just disable it? No, I'm not going to get in trouble. Are you crazy? I'm not getting in trouble. You're supposed to stop at the choice. Okay. Yeah, I ain't getting sued for this. You
よう
crazy?
やくか。
It was already past midnight, but it was actually earlier than I thought. A 30-minute drive from this point would lead me into Fujiyoshi, or rather, Kami Fujiyoshi, the place that wasn't too popular among Yasumisu's people. Okay, so this is where we stop. So, that's it. We're done with Raging Loop. Until we get sued. I can't stream no more. It's illegal. It's illegal. What did I think of it? Well, I thought it was pretty lame, but now it's interesting. And now I want to continue, but we can't. So that's funny. It's very funny because I thought, oh, it's the werewolf game. But now we're going into the Kami Fujiyoshi place instead of Yasumisu. I don't know what's gonna happen. So yeah, no, it sucks that it stops there. I would have thought like maybe a bit more, but it is what it is. So I guess we'll got an hour to kill. I don't know what we can do. We could do either some. We could do some. We could play some Melon Game. We could play ATS for 3 hours. We could play Baldur's Gate 2, but we'd only play for 2 hours. We can also play Etrian Odyssey 3. Haven't played that since last time. BG2? Yeah, I guess we can do, we can continue our BG2 that we missed out on last time. Yeah, it's Ogre. We hit the streaming limit. So we can no longer stream this game, or it's illegal. It's against the rules. Yeah, there's an option. Where is it? I don't know where it is, but there's an option you can select when you start the game that if you're streaming the game will tell you when you're no longer allowed to stream it because, you know, it's a VN. It's understandable that you don't want the story to be on YouTube. So yeah, that'll be it for Raging Loop for tonight. We'll take a small break, then we'll segue for Baldur's Gate for about an hour and a half. And yeah, we'll be right back.